This video is supposed to be just about HDR, but I have to say a couple of words and I try to keep it short, okay? But I'm not happy. I am not happy at all. I spent $125 for this game. Yes, here in Australia, everything is a little bit more expensive. And yes, I went to eBay Games. If you're in Australia, you know what I'm talking about. And I traded a couple of games in to get this game. $125. I'm absolutely disappointed. The intro here looks absolutely great, fantastic, I love it. Just in SDR on the other hand, not even on the intro we have HDR brightness or colors, okay? So this is, it's a disadvantage, not a disappointment because the trailer still is okay. But the rest, gameplay, graphics and animations, that's really not on a level what I was or what I know from a PlayStation 5. Not at all. This version or the game itself is not worth to be on a PlayStation 5 in my opinion. Even the 60 FPS mode, which I'm going to, or what I have used for my analysis, is not a perfect stable 60 FPS mode. But again, this is just an HDR analyze video. I'm talking maybe about performance and stuff like that in a separate video. The good news is, HDR on the other hand is actually okay. But again, graphics, animations and gameplay are not. Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. Enough complaint, let's talk about HDR. And again, I think I'm doing a performance video about this game where I compare this game with Ghost of Tsushima. Maybe I will do this. Anyway, so let's talk about the most important thing actually in regards of HDR. We are using the HDR system level calibration on the PlayStation 5, which is a great thing because that means, yeah, set and forget, but it's not that simple sometimes. But in this game actually it is, because all what you have to do is you set up your PlayStation 5 in the correct way and you're actually good to go, because we have just one additional setting in the game and there is, in my opinion, not really a need to change it. So let's talk about the maximum peak brightness in this game first, because what I found is that even when I set up my PlayStation 5 in combination with my LG G2, which has roughly a maximum peak brightness of around, let's say, 950 to 1000 nits, the game actually outputs slightly higher nits. Not just slightly higher, but the readings were around 2000 to 3000 nits. But I think the problem is that we're talking about a little bit of aliasing, what maybe confuses my analyzer, okay? So because when we look a little bit closer on the analyzer, we can actually see that the specular highlights are roughly around 1000 nits. So that means the HDR system level calibration is working pretty well. The only thing again is that my analyzer, I think, is a little bit confused with the aliasing or maybe flimmering or flickering in this game. But that's not a big problem because again, the HDR presentation in this game is actually okay. Let's start talking about the HDR black level floor, because here we have literally no issue at all. As you can see here on this example that the game can easily reach almost 0 nits. Actually, it reaches 0 nits in certain situations, just when the game needs a little bit of a brighter, or let's call it washed out picture, then you will also see this on your TV or screen. So again, the HDR implementation in regards of contrast, in regards of the HDR black level floor and in regards of specular highlights is actually pretty good. And the only setting what we have in the game where we can change the HDR picture is the screen brightness setting. Standard factory setting is 10 and we can change it to 0 or maximum 20. So what I found is that even you increase this setting to 20, there is no lift in the HDR black level floor. That means you have still almost 0 nits output if it is necessary. Of course, you lift the whole game or you lift the whole picture in terms of shadow details and stuff like that. So that means I would not recommend to use setting 20. But again, if you like to have it a little bit brighter, then go for it. On the other hand, what I found is when you decrease this level, you will also have still really nice details in shadows. So again, if you like to, let's say, use the setting 5 or 15, go for it, because in terms of shadow details, in terms of the average picture brightness, screen brightness, maximum peak brightness, the setting is actually working pretty well. And as always, when it comes to the question, should I use dynamic tone mapping on, dynamic tone mapping off, or HDRG? The answer is not that simple, because it really depends on what you like more. If you like to have a very nice bright picture, and by the way, that's right now with the standard factory setting, screen brightness set to 10. So if you like to have a brighter picture, then go with dynamic tone mapping on. As in many other games, I do not recommend to use dynamic tone mapping off, because again, this game supports the PlayStation 5 HDR system level calibration. What a long word. And therefore you can set this up perfectly with HDRG enabled, of course, to the capabilities of your TV. So that means HDRG should actually work pretty well. If you don't like the picture, use dynamic tone mapping on, or maybe increase the screen brightness setting in the game. But again, keep in mind, if you have now a little bit of a washed out picture already, because the level of whatever is already a little bit washed out like this here, with the screen brightness setting, you will even lift this a little bit higher. So the picture looks even more washed out. But to be very honest, it looks right now actually better with dynamic tone mapping on versus HDRG. But again, this is just this level. There are also scenarios where you play in the dark or in the night, and dynamic tone mapping on, as we can see here, is overbrighten the picture ridiculously. Okay, just way too much in my opinion. So this is really, it really depends on you, what you like better. I prefer in most of the games HDRG, because when I play games, I play in a dark environment. That means HDRG is for me the best way to play. Okay, my friends, so that's it already for this video. And again, I'm still disappointed, because I was expecting more. To be very honest, I think, and I will do this or put this in the comment section if I should do this, I like to compare this game with Ghost of Tsushima, because I have the feeling that Ghost of Tsushima is just is looking better. To be very honest, it does look better. The animations are better. The whole world looks better. But I have to install it again and really do a proper side-by-side comparison. Also, what I found is that during my testing, and of course I haven't tested the whole game, okay? But so far what I have tested, the frame rate, there's no stable 60 FPS, okay? It's not, okay? You have stuttering from time to time, which is not a deal breaker, don't get me wrong, but I would expect a perfect 60 FPS frame rate actually with this graphics, to be very honest, because this is not PlayStation 5 was, in my opinion. This is maximum PlayStation 4 with a PlayStation 5 patch, probably to get 60 FPS, okay? Like we have seen in Ghost of Tsushima at some point, and then we got the native PlayStation 5 version, which is even slightly better, okay? So again, this is not what I would expect from a PlayStation 5. In regards of the HDR implementation, it's really good and actually better than some AAA games what I have seen so far. I mean, we have seen Dragon's Dogma 2 where the HDR slider is broken. HDR is on a good level in this game, but would be better, of course, if the sliders are working. The same with Horizon Forbidden West, the PC version, which just was released a couple of days ago. Also, the HDR sliders broken. So at this point, you know, it's much better. But again, this is very bad resolution. I think just 1080p or even less than 1080p. Not really great for PlayStation 5. Thank you very much for watching me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.